You will have two folders today at your table. One is your empty artwork folder and the other is your sketchbook folder. Go ahead and take your sketchbook out of your folder and open to the page where we practice on our chalk blending technique that we worked on last week. Go ahead and review the notes that you wrote down. What worked for you during your chalk blending practice and what didn't? How will you do things differently today? Did you overblend your colors? Did you layer too many colors? Did you like to use your fingers to blend or the Kleenex? While you are checking your notes, a helper will be passing out your Starry Night background. We will be using the same chalk pastels from last week. Please try to be mindful today and use one color at a time. Remember, your hands might be a little bit messy today, so at the end of class, if we're clean and quiet, we will get towels to wipe our hands clean. Make sure your paper is turned landscape, that's wide like a hot dog, not portrait, tall like a building. Next, we're going to air draw with our finger first to visually see where the line should go. Find the horizontal line towards the bottom half of your paper. Too high, you won't have room for your northern lights. Too low, you won't have room for your snow and your lake. Using the tip of your white chalk, draw a wavy horizontal line across your paper. If there is not enough white chalk in your box at your table, kindly go see if the table next to you has a white chalk you can borrow. Use the belly of the white chalk to add more snow below the horizontal line that we drew before. After you have added snow all the way across your landscape, we're going to begin blending. Using your finger or the Kleenex, whichever you prefer, we're going to gently blend the snow together. Now, if you happen to overblend like I did, don't worry. Take that white chalk again and add a little bit more on top where you overblended and gently blend again. Now, if you're feeling fancy, you can take it to the next level and take that white chalk again and add a little bit more on top of your blended snow to add a highlight. That gives us extra focus on areas of our snow. At your table, there is a white piece of paper. Turning it portrait tall like a building, you're going to rip a line from the top to the bottom, but not just any old line. It's going to be a wavy line that represents the northern lights. After ripping your paper, you should be left with two torn pieces of paper. You can alternate these pieces of paper when you use them. That means you can take turns using them. Using one of the torn pieces of paper, think about the placement of your northern lights. A trick is to angle it, not straight, or it will look like mountains. Once you have a strong placement, begin creating your northern lights. Using the belly of my chalk, not the tip, we're going to place the belly on top of the white paper first and drag it towards the black paper. Make sure you're holding your white paper with your other hand so it doesn't move. After you've placed the first color all the way across the torn piece of paper, begin to overlap different colors. I chose to use 2 to 3 colors in my section of the northern lights. Carefully blend, and then you may carefully take your torn piece of paper off to reveal that section of the northern lights. For our second section, try to use a different side of the torn piece of paper by flipping it over, or you may use the other torn piece of paper that we have not used yet. Now, when you're finding the placement, start to begin to think about how many more sections of the northern lights I can fit in my background. I think I can fit about 3 to 4 more sections. I don't want to overcrowd my sky because I want to create balance in my artwork. Remember, if you overblend your northern lights and they become too muddy, you can always place that paper back in that section, add more chalk pastel on top, and blend again. Once your northern lights sky is finished, we are going to now create a reflection of colors from the northern lights in your lake that is right beneath your snow. Begin using the same colors that you use for your northern lights. If you use colors that weren't in your northern lights, it won't match your sky. Using the belly of my chalk, I'm lightly adding some color as my reflection. Gently blend the colors of your reflection to make it look more realistic. When you are finished, go ahead and place it back into your artwork folder. And if you used the Kleenex to blend today, please make sure you return it to the appropriate place. Don't forget to throw away your torn pieces of paper in the recycling bin. If you are finished early, in your sketchbook, reflect back to your KWL chart and write down in pencil what you learned today about creating your northern lights using your chalk blending technique. You can write down some notes that you feel like you improved on from last week, and you can write down a few notes on what you think you still need to work on your chalk blending technique.